Welcome to Planet MicroCap. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me today is Luke Norman. He is the chairman and co-founder of US Gold Corp. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is USAU on NASDAQ, and US Gold Corp will be presenting at the upcoming Precious Metal Summit Beaver Creek, happening September 12 through 15. For more information to meet Luke, to see them present, please go to precioussummit.com. And with that, Luke, thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing?
Good. Thank you, Robert. Look forward to finally having this time to chat with you.
Absolutely. Same here, man. So, I've had US Gold Corp on the show before, where we've talked about updates and everything like that. And we'll get to some of the updates since the last time we chatted. But first, for those that aren't familiar with the US Gold story, can you give us that quick overview of the company?
Certainly. We're pre-development on a copper gold project just outside of Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is probably more familiar to people as being about an hour and a half north of Denver International Airport. And that project just so happens to be the next permitted gold copper mine in North America. That's the reality of it. So we're really excited, and I look forward to taking you through it today.
Very good. So actually, last time we had a representative from US Gold on the show. It's been about 2 years. So we're not going to go through all the highlights from the last 2 years, but let's say...
Sure, there's a lot.
I'm sure we've got a half hour maybe, but can you give us some of the highlights from the last 12 months or so?
Certainly. In short order, basically what we did, we brought in the preeminent mine builder in the gold space, George B. George worked for Barrick, built their biggest operations. He came in, took a look at our project and said, hey, I think I want to build this. So we have since advanced this thing through a full a pre-feasibility study, which is done really to feasibility study level. We've gone ahead and filed for permits to produce. We deal with purely the state of Wyoming, which is amazing. And that's why I spoke previously about we will be the next company that's permitted with a copper gold mine in the US. And everyone else is lined up and they're dealing with federal agencies. We have just been ticking boxes with the state of Wyoming, a resource-friendly state.
Very good. All right. So then where exactly are we at in the process? You say you're the next, but like what does that mean?
Yes.
Month, 2 months, year, you never know. So
how long is a piece of rope? I get it. So we filed for permit in September of last year. The state mandates it's a 12-month process, but in the midst of it, we decided we'll just add some icing to the cake. We filed for a industrial sightings permit with the state. And what that does, that's more kind of a handshake between us as a developing company and the local community, whereby the state can now deploy capital into infrastructure around our project. So that added about 3 or 4 months to the process, but we were awarded it. And by the same group, the Department of Environmental Quality out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, that are ultimately going to be awarding the permit to mine. So that was a major notch in our belt that I feel clearly the market didn't get. Our stock looks actually even softer today than it did 4 weeks ago when we announced that. But that's a huge achievement, and it's just indicative of that due process. So back to your question, we expect permits to be somewhere in the first quarter of next year. We're actively engaged with the Department of Environmental Qualities. We've had open town hall meetings with community and community leaders, and we've got nothing but positivity back on this project. So exciting times.
Very good. So then once you get all the permitting, everything's ready to go. Obviously now you got to build the mine, right? So
yes,
is the plan to JV?
The easy bit.
Yeah. So is the plan to JV, or are you going to fully fund it in-house, debt, obviously some combo of debt, equity financing?
The plan is to maximize shareholder value. That's the plan. I'm a shareholder. I'm a founder of the company. So whatever it takes to maximize that shareholder value is how we're going to approach it. Now, the real plan of attack right now is us to build it. But I imagine, so sort of a ballpark of what the project looks like, okay? It's 1.5 million ounce reserve. I'm doing this because it's a bit of a rounding of numbers. It's about 1.44 million ounce gold equivalents reserve, but that's a reserve, not a resource. It's a well drilled, well understood, well distributed mineral body that we're going to go into mine. We've got, you know, a current market cap sub $40 million. So how are you going to build a $222 million mine facility when you've got a $40 million market cap? How are we going to approach this? Well, we don't have to go through the whole dilution process to do that. You know, the equipment manufacturers, they provide, you know, sort of debt to build the equipment, to furnish us with the equipment, excuse me. There's state funding. There's now with copper joining the critical minerals or critical metals categorization in the US, thankfully, recently. You know, of that 1.44 million ounces of gold equivalents, it's actually 1 million ounces of gold and about 250 million pounds of copper in the project. So access to capital is something that we're actively working on right now. Then there's additions to this project, like what we've not been able to share really too much publicly, but what we've come to realize is as we build this deposit, or sorry, extract this deposit, the rock that surrounds it, we're running at about a 0.9 to 1 strip ratio on this thing. It's an open pit. That waste rock is being sold by our neighbors, Martin Marietta, who are a $26 billion NYSE listed company. They're selling that same granite for $20 a ton and mining it as a, you know, profitable business, obviously. So we're going to have waste rock sitting on surface to the tune of about 35, 40 million tons. It's worth $20 a ton into that market. So we've got those additions to bring into the storyline that's going to help create value. And ultimately, our exhausted pit could very much become a pit lake storage reservoir for the communities around us post-production. So a lot of that, this evolution of this story is happening and occurring now. And that news is all transpiring and coming together, coalescing with kind of the timing of our permitting. So it's an exciting time.
For sure. So, I mean, look, the moral of the story is that in terms of news flow, it's just more like, all right, continue to watch for permitting news, continue to watch for news, you know, regarding how you're going to build.
Right.
Like that's what we're really talking about, right?
Yeah, it's going to be boxes getting ticked, and then the bringing in of this aggregate story, the potential of this water reservoir, you know, which is all really important from an ESG perspective, and ESG
100%.
and green credits are hugely important. Even though we're going to be a permitted gold copper mine, being able to add to this ESG story and really stay out of the crosshairs of environmentalists and such, actually being someone who's benefiting the environment is going to be massive.
Very good. All right. Well, Luke, I think we'll leave it there. So where can our audience go and find more information to follow along US Gold?
Well, we're online, of course, usgoldcorp.gold, not com, usgoldcorp.gold. On there, you'll find access to us, our communications, and then obviously through you, Robert, and your team. If anyone would like to reach out to us and learn more about the company, we have time on our hands.
Very good. Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.